Hey everybody, it's Sneaky Narcotic, back at it again with another YouTube video, and I have quite the doozy for you guys today. I am going to be doing some Guilds of, not Guilds of Ravnica, Ravnica Allegiance spoilers today. These dropped, very recently. I can't exactly tell you when, but supposedly there was a leak, like always, every single time. There's a leak in the magic wizarding community, and we get these delightful photos of basically just previews of what we're going to be able to see in the actual set when it comes out in January. So let's go ahead and get into it. These are two cards from Orzhov. Mortify, one generic, one white, one black. Destroy target creature or enchantment. This is actually a reprint that it's so funny. A couple of these cards I'm going to mention. Me and my buddies, we played for Christmas on our play group. We decided that we were going to get the Commander Anthology Volume 2. And so a lot of these cards are very interesting when and you'll hear me reference that Mortify was actually in my buddy's deck. He got the Atraxa deck. So it was very interesting to see this. I've never really seen this card before until now. And it's crazy. I saw it twice. One in Commander and one now soon to be in Standard. So love the art on it. The flavor text says your debt is erased. Hilger, Orzhov, Ethanist, I want to say. Ethunist, something like that. But yeah, that's great. As you can see, it hits two things that you normally can't hit with the same card. At least not in the same go, I would say. It hits creatures and enchantments. And a later card I will show you in this video will be exactly what I would save Mortify for. Here we also see another mechanic coming in. It looks like it's more of an Orzhov mechanic, but it is going to be, and I'll show you guys, it's not just going to be white and black. You can put in a couple other decks. But anyways, this would be Imperious Oligarch. She has Vigilance. She's a 2/1. She has an ability called Afterlife, which is a new ability to the Allegiance. When this creature dies, create a 1/1 white and black spirit creature token with flying. The rights of Ghost are strictly protected under Orzhov bylaws, and those who enforce them can count on the Ghost's assistance. So here we see some really interesting things. I already made this slideshow, so I'm not going to be able to pull this card just thinly out of the air, but now that I'm thinking about it, guys, go take a look at Divine Visitation. I just realized that would be such a great way to get Divine Visitation out. In fact, I should probably say that in my notes, and that can be one of the first videos I make when Allegiance drops and I get some of these cards. But, yeah, Afterlife looks pretty sick. It's like a constant Doom Dissenter, or, what's that? There's one that just got printed in Guilds of Ravnica that's like a Witness. I can't remember it. But anyways, it's like Doom Dissenter, where Doom Dissenter dies and it creates a token that's a little better than it or about the same. And so, with trading Vigilance for flying, I mean, it's a 2/1, but that goes into a 1/1 for 2 mana, and then it changes from Vigilance to flying, so it already is good. I do believe it should get that uncommon mark. If it was a hybrid mana, like white or black, then it would probably get upgraded to that uncommon mark. But no, staying a common for now is a pretty good placement, I believe. Let's go to the next. So here we get to showcase Rakdos. Rakdos is is looking like a pretty cool deck if this is just a common. So first we got Rafter Demon, 2 generic, 1 black, 1 red. Creature Demon, and a new ability called Spectacle that is coming out. It's an alternate mana cost. You may cast a spell for its Spectacle, which for this card is 3 generic, 1 black, 1 red. Cost rather than its mana cost if an opponent lost life this turn. When Rafter Demon enters the battlefield, if its Spectacle cost was paid, each opponent discards a card. What's really interesting, I wanna point out, I was talking to my buddy on when these leaks came out. We just fanboyed so hard over these leaks. Spectacle does not say when you deal combat damage or when you hurt an opponent. When you do some sort of damage to an opponent, it says if an opponent lost life this turn. So something to, obviously not with a creature. I don't think this Spectacle allows you to, well, maybe that would be something you'd have to talk to a judge about, because you may cast a spell for its Spectacle cost rather than its mana cost if an opponent, no, excuse me, I'm sorry, that's just an alternate. So you wouldn't be able to do it with a creature, but you could do it with like a sorcery, which I'll show you one here in a minute that has Spectacle, or not a sorcery, an instance, I'm sorry. I played Magic, and I know how to play Magic. But yeah, you can play for its instant if an opponent decides to use a shock land. I was thinking multiple different ways opponents might, I don't know, hurt themselves, but shock lands comes up the most. And what's very interesting is that if you guys know, Ixalan, no, excuse me, let me look it up just real quick. Sulphur Falls being the buddy land. Sulphur Falls was printed in Dominaria. Okay, so I'm lying. It's not Ixalan, it's Dominaria. When Dominaria goes out of cycle, this will become, and I know that's quite the ways away. We still have to get rid of Ixalan, but this will become very more a thing, because once the buddy system goes away and you're just having to deal with shocklands, you're more likely to hurt yourself and allow an opponent to Spectacle. And that's just, watch this ability. I don't know if it will be fairly usable to begin with, other than, like, I know you could burn your opponent and then use it, obviously, but I feel like it will become more obtainable to use Spectacle in the future once Dominaria cycles out. So just keep an eye on it. Here's the next card from Rakdos, and that is Rakdos firewheeler. 2 black, 2 red for a total of 4 mana cost. Creature human rogue. When Rakdos firewheeler enters the battlefield, it deals 2 damage to target opponent and 2 damage up to 1 target creature or planeswalker. Now, this is pretty cool to me, because not only do you get to Virushino Pyromancer somebody, or just shock them in their face, while also getting a hefty body and power out of a creature, you're also being able to deal 2 damage indirectly to a creature or a planeswalker. It kills a number of creatures, but it also helps you control the planeswalkers, and including, maybe they just -2 or -3 the Vraska and got it down to shock range, but you don't have the shock in hand. You have Rakdos firewheeler. You want to advance your board state. Well, now you've done 2 damage to the opponent, and you've killed that Vraska planeswalker. So just, thoughts like that is what makes this card very appealing to me. I love what they're doing, because this also, if you look at it, it deals 2 damage to target opponent. It gets you your Spectacle. Now, if you're getting, for instance, 9 mana, like when you look at these 2 cards next to each other, if you're getting 9 mana in one turn in red and black, you're running a little late in the game. Red and black is about taking out your opponent quickly and with punishing. Like, in the current standard is Punisher Burn. And so, you're not trying to play the late game and get to 9 mana, but there's ways you could do it. It would help you get to these next couple of cards. So we have firstly Rick's Maadi, Reveler. 1 generic, 1 red. Spectacle is 2 generic, 1 black, 1 red. You may cast the spell for its spectacle cost rather than its mana cost if an opponent lost life this turn. When Rick's Maadi, Reveler enters the battlefield, discard a card, then draw a card. If Rick's Maadi, Reveler's spectacle cost was paid, instead discard your hand, then draw 3 cards, and it's a 2/2 human shaman creature. Okay, so here's the other thing, right? This is similar, not the same, but similar to Flame of Keld. What we've seen in mono red burn. Now, obviously, you couldn't do mono red burn with this. You would have to pick Rakdos colors again, and that's fine. I feel like if you're going to pick a ability for a specific guild, you should keep it in those colors, instead of just whoring it out like what's that card cost? Discovery Dispersal, where you can just play Discovery in any blue or black deck. Yeah, that's not exactly what I feel you should be doing if you're trying to stick with guild colors, but whatever. It's like Flame Killed in the sense that, say for instance, you have Rick's Maadi Reveler and like some bird spell that can hit an opponent in his face, right? Well, you play that burn spell, hopefully a low mana costing burn spell, because Spectacle is not cheap on these creatures. You play that burn spell, and then you play Rick's Maadi Reveler for its Spectacle cost. You have nothing else in hand, right? Now you draw 3 cards. For playing you basically, for, let's say Shock for instance, for 5 mana, you hit your opponent for 2 damage, you put a 2/2 human shaman on the board who drew you 3 cards. That's what you did. That's a very, like, if that was in 1 card all by itself, Shock to face, draw 3 cards, 2/2 body. That would be a worthwhile card. And this is why, of course, it has the rare, symbol in there. Light Up the Stage is the sorcery I was talking about. I thought it was an instance, but now I'm looking back at it, it's a sorcery. A spectacle, Light Up the Stage, 2 generic, 1 red. Sorcery, spectacle of 1 red. Now, this is a card that you could spectacle in other decks, although I don't know what decks you're doing just direct damage without, like, swinging, but whatever. Excuse me. Exile the top 2 cards of your library until the end of your next turn. You may play those cards. Excuse me. The flavor text says, places everyone, Judith. I don't know much about the lore, so I don't know who Judith is, but anyways, this is it's similar. How do I put this? I like this card. I like it because it gives you flexibility for 1 mana cost. And I mean, it's not the bee's knees. It's no Teferi the Cancer of Dominaria. It's no Assassin's Trophy. Glory be Assassin's Trophy. But it's still a pretty good card because it effectively draws you 2 cards. As long as you have the mana, it draws you 2 cards out of your library. And if nothing else, it thins out your library. If you already, for some reason, know what those 2 cards are on top of your deck and you don't want them there, you could just play this card. You don't have to use the cards. But I just think it's a really good card, especially in red and black, because then you're either filtering out your deck or you're playing spells that you want to play. That's all I'm saying about that. That's a very good card for red and black, or just red in general. I hope to God red does not rule another meta like it did in Amonkhet and Hour of Devastation. But if it does, and it's up through Spectacle, I don't know if I can complain too much. So let me take that card off real quick, so that we can focus on Tithe Taker. Tithe Taker is that other card I was telling you about that has Afterlife, and it could just be used in a white deck. More importantly, like more of a Selesnya deck with a token build, because having the Afterlife and then having a 2/1, a lot of cards die for 2. You know, that's the main thing to look at with these Afterlife cards. But first, let's read the card. Tithe Taker, 1 generic, 1 white, creature, human, soldier. It is a rare. So why is it a rare? During your turn, spells your opponents can cost 1. Spells your opponents cast cost 1 more to cast, and abilities your opponents activate cost 1 more to activate, unless they're mana abilities. So I like when how do I put this? When you first play this game and you're getting into the game and you're learning the difference between a sorcerer and an instant, you get really fed up. And I feel like this is one of those cards you look to. It brings a new archetype that I haven't seen in a while. I see in the commander field all the time. Me and my buddies call it a hate deck. Actually, we call it prison, because that's exactly what it feels like. It feels like you're in prison because it's not allowing you to do things that you want to do, or you're having to pay more mana to do it. The number 1 card being Wintry Orb. I wish I had a picture to show you how cancerous a Winter Orb is. That flips the table in my play group. Anyways, enough about that. This is the card that I can see me getting into. You know, it kills control matchups, because control matchups don't play on their own turn. They say draw, pass. You know, untap, draw, pass. But this makes them have to think more before passing. It makes them have to look at things more. Activate costs 1 more to activate unless they're mana abilities. That's the other thing. Like, so for instance, Search for Escanta says that you can pay some mana. I'll look it up real quickly. I hate that I have to do this. This is my first time making a video like this, so please bear with me. I'm way better at playing Magic than I am talking about Magic, especially on the fly. So Search for Azcanta flips into a land called Azcanta, the Sunken Ruin. And it has a mana ability, tap for blue to your mana pool. And then the other one is tap 2 generic, 1 blue, and tap it. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a non-creature land card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest in the bottom of your library in any order. That is a card that's mainly used in control matchups for obvious reasons. You're going to go look for that counter. You're going to go look for that kill spell. You're going to go look for something, right? This makes it cost 1 more. And that 1 more could be the difference. And then on top of that, that 1 more that you would need to cast a counter spell or something like that, that could be the difference, because that's the whole reason why people play Negate and what's the other one? Essence Scatter? Negate and Essence Scatter, because it's a cheaper mana cost to counter something, but it counters a target, a specific thing, a creature or a non-creature card. So to be able to add the mana cost to make it actually the equivalent of a counter spell, like cancel or disallow, it makes this a really good card. And then this isn't legendary. So you can make them pay like 3 to 4 extra mana, reasonably, depending on what deck you're playing, to cast their spells on your turn. Now, whatever, they can kill your creatures on their turn, but it just makes it a hell of a lot harder for a control person. And if you ever play a control deck, you understand that this card is hard. Speaking of prison, welcome to Lavinia, the legendary creature human soldier, Azorius renegade, 1 white, 1 blue. Hell of a card. It took me some understanding. Me and my buddy were talking about it. So listen closely, because I thought I knew what I was talking about the first time I read this, and I didn't. So each opponent can't cast non-creature spells with converted mana cost greater than the number of lands that player controls. Let's stop there first. So if you're playing with mana rocks, with Lord knows everybody wants to play with a Mox Amber nowadays. Whatever. That's not true, just to let you know. But let's say you're playing with a Mox Amber, you're playing with Gilded Lotus, or any of those mana type rocks. This says that if you're reliant on that to ramp up so you can play a big spell, you're not going to be playing that big spell because it's higher than the amount of lands that you have on the field. Let's read the next part. The next part's very interesting too. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, if no mana was spent to cast it, counter that spell. I know there are a couple different spells. I'm gonna talk about two in standard right now. One that is one of my personal commander staples is Omniscience. Omniscience is a 10 mana cost card in blue that says you can play cards from your hand without paying their mana cost. Well, I have to pay their mana cost now because if not, they're countered. That limits me. That adds prison. That adds hate to my deck. If you play... I was going to say Apex of Power, but Apex of Power, I'm pretty sure reads that you get mana to spend towards it, so I'm lying about Apex of Power. But I believe there's another card, and I might... I'm not going to be able to look it up now. It's going to come to me in my dreams tonight when I go to sleep, and it's going to kill me until I realize it. But I do want to mention, we were talking about this, and again, I had to read this card twice because it's a lot of words, a lot of text, and a very strict, but it better be for 2 mana cost, even though it is a color and a color. It does not counter copies. Thousand Year Storm. Thousand Year Storm says that whenever you play a spell, for each other spell you've played before it, sorcery or instance, for each instance or sorcery that you've played before it this turn, copy it for that many times. Now, it does not counter a copy because a copy is not a cast. A copy is a copy. That's also why Thousand Year Storm doesn't, copy its copies. So I know that's very confusing to look at. I'm sorry, I didn't think I'd be talking about that, but I do want to mention all questions that I would have about it before you guys have it. So let's read the flavor text. I told Jace that Ravnica would fall apart if he didn't take his responsibilities seriously. I didn't want to be right. I don't know how. Again, I don't know the lore of Ravnica. This is my first set in Ravnica, and it's been awesome. Not this set, but the Guilds of Ravnica, the one that's just been released a month or two back. And this will be my second set in Ravnica, and as a block, it is awesome. But to see Jace Balerion just screwing up, it's nice. Anyways, let's continue. I did have thoughts to make a prison deck with these cards, or at least a couple of them. So Bayard, Steward of Argiv came to mind. He's a legendary creature. Creatures can attack you or planeswalkers you control unless their controller pays 1 for each of these creatures. Magic is about paying mana cost, hopefully not having to pay more, and guess what? Bayard says you have to pay more. When Bayard first came out in Dominaria, I was like, why did they print what me and my friends call a prison deck, a prison card, and no support for it other than Dampening Spear. Dampening Spear, if a land is tapped for 2 or more mana, it produces one generic instead of any other type and amount. Each spell a player costs 1 more to cast for each other spell that player has cast this turn. This isn't enough by itself. With those other 2 cards, maybe I could see at least pissing your opponent off, making him have to pay so much freaking mana, but I could see it, Excuse me. Really good. I believe that and again, I'm not. I'll probably will make this and hate myself for it, but I believe prison deck would .exe would look at least fun. You'll want to slit your wrist for playing it, but it'll look at least fun. So let's go into the next card, the Haunt of Hightower. This is supposedly, from what I hear, the buy a box promo, which they've been doing recently. They didn't always do this, but they have been recently. And, you know, I don't really know if it's worth the buy a box promo until you get to the last, but the high mana cost. So let's read it. The Haunt of Hightower. It is 4 generic, 2 black. So you have to be playing black and maybe one other color. Otherwise, you're probably having a hard time casting this spell on curve. It's a legendary creature. It's a legendary vampire, which is cool, but it's a legendary creature. As flying lifelink, whenever the Haunt of Hightower attacks, defending player discards a card. Whenever a card is put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, put a +1/+1 counter on the Haunt of Hightower. It drains vitality from those it touches. So I have thoughts on this card, and here it is. In standard, probably nah. I mean, it's Disdainful Stroke could get rid of it. Any kill spell could get rid of it, and you spent 6 mana for it, and it didn't come down and do anything on its first turn. I don't like it for 6 mana cost. I wish it was cheaper, or at least had a discount of some sort that you could manage, like maybe discard a card of your own to play it. That's a very black thing to do. So, that being said, I love it for Commander. If you wanted to go, hey, you don't even have to play this as your main commander, but let's say you want to. Let's say the Haunt of Hightower is your bay, and you want to play some mono black today. There are a lot of, especially in Commander, a lot of discard goodness in black. There's a lot of things. You could put a Lightning Greaves on this, give it Shroud, and then just let it sit on the board for a while. It's lifelink, and it's going to continuously get bigger until somebody boards wipes, deals with it, or something, you know? And that's what I like about it in Commander. So, I might get a copy just to play in Commander. I am, like I said, we were playing Commander Anthology Volume 2, and I got the Mimoplasm deck, which is all about cards like this. So it could be fun to put in a Mimoplasm deck if I could, buy a box. But anyways, that being said, let me introduce you to my okay, not yet. Excuse me before I put my foot in my mouth. Gate Colossus is the next biggest thing I wanted to talk about. There wasn't a lot of leaks, so I feel like I have time to talk about these. So Gate Colossus, 8 generic, artifact creature, construct. Cool, right? This spell costs 1 less to cast for each gate you control. Gate Colossus can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. Whenever a gate enters the battlefield under your control, you may put Gate Colossus from your graveyard on top of your library. So, here's what I like about Gate Colossus. You could get him out on turn 5 by playing Gate Tribal. And the thing is that Gate Tribal might end up being a thing now. It's not... They had cards in the most recent guilds of Ravnica, that were support for guild gates, guild gate tribal, but it just didn't seem enough. And I mean, this seems like enough, right? You have an 8/8 that can't be blocked by power 2 or less. So if you're playing a white weenie deck or a token building deck, you're kind of screwed. The only thing this card's missing is trample. And if you're playing a guild gate deck, well, you could give it trample, especially with the package I'm thinking about putting on it. So we have another similar creature, gatekeeper, gargoyle. Gatekeeper enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 on it for each gate you control. It comes out as a 3/3 base for 6. If you're playing guild gates only, that could come out for a 9/9 on turn 7. No, that's not the best, but if you're playing guild gates with a little bit of land, you could get it out for a reasonable 6/6, 5/5, 4/6 on turn 6. Again, I know that's not reasonable, but there are ways to cheat it. Here's some ways to cheat it. Circuitous route allows you to go grab 2 guild gates and put them on the battlefield. District guide. District guide allows you to go grab some gates, put it in your hand, then put it on the battlefield. Guild summit allowing you to... These are the more payoffs for guilds. Guild summit enters the battlefield. You may tap any number of untapped gates you control. Draw a card for each gate. Tap this way whenever a gate enters the battlefield on your control. Draw a card. I didn't even think about it until now. You could put Wayward Swordtooth on here and then start putting gates on the battlefield two at a time once you start drawing cards off a guild gate or a guild summit. And if you have 2 guild summits out, well, hell, there you go. You're drawing 2 cards per land you put down. Almost 4 with the Wayward Swordtooth. So, then you have Glade of Guild Pact, and this is just interesting because going back to like District Guide, you spent 3 mana, put a 2/2 out there, and he got you a land into your hand. Not even on the battlefield, but into your hand. Then you play Glade of Guild Pact, and then now your creature has +1/+1 in Vigilance and Menace. Ooh, it has Menace. And the equip cost isn't too burdensome. The 2 to get it down, the 3 to equip it, maybe. There's been equipment that's been cheaper. There's been equipment that costs way more. Look at Darkblade Reforged, okay? I just feel like Guildgate Tribal is missing 1 or 2 pieces, and then it could be a viable deck. Which is why I was excited to show you guys this. You know, the whole package of Guild Summit, Glaive of Guild Pact, District Guide, Circuitous Route, Gatekeeper Gargoyle, and of course the Bomb Diggity Dog, Gate Colossus. I just think, it'd be cool to make Guildgate Tribal a thing. Zendikar made actual land tribal a thing, so why can't Guildgate Tribal be a thing? Sure, why not? The next thing I wanted to show you guys, and possibly my favorite thing to show you guys tonight, oh my god, I am in heaven with Simic. So, I'm going to show you just the basic Simic card before I go into the absolute bomb.com. So, Growth Spiral, 1 green, 1 blue. It's an instant, it's a common. Draw a card, you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. So, advance your board state a little. The flavor text says cyclical in spiral patterns. Silical, I'm sorry, gosh, read today, narcotic. Silical and spiral patterns are the specialty of the Gyroclade, which seeks to revitalize the cycles of nature. Here's my card. I don't even really care to talk about growth spiral. Here's my new card. Here's what I will be brewing the crap out of, building decks around, and I'm going to show you guys some of this because this is the color that I am most pleased with. Simic Ascendance. Same freaking mana cost as Growth Spiral, and it does way better of a job. 1 green, 1 blue. It's an enchantment. It's rare. It has ability 1 generic, 1 green, 1 blue. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Here's where it starts to go bonkers, right? When 1 or more +1/+1 counters are put on a creature you control, put that many growth counters on Simic Ascendance. That many growth counters. Not just the 1 or 1 instant, but that many growth counters. At the beginning of your upkeep, if Simic Ascendance has 20 or more growth counters on it, you win the game. Welcome to an alternate win con for 2 freaking mana that you just have to keep alive or hope it stays on the board. It doesn't really matter. It's 2 freaking mana. So, here's my thoughts on this, right? I just need to get to 20. There's now going to be a little bit more enchantment hate with Mortify and just the actual color green itself. maybe blue tempo, because obviously when you put a counter on something, if you tempo it back to your hand, you have to take the counters off. It doesn't come with a card, sadly. I love the art, by the way. Look at it. It's I can't tell if that's like, maybe I'm stupid. A lot of people know Simic better than me. Again, this is my first guild, so please be kind. It looks kind of like a merfolk with octopus tails. But anyways.
Sorry, I don't know how to help with that.
Dude, Google just scared the crap out of me. These are my thoughts on how to make a deck all around Simic Ascendance. Thoughtbound Phantasm. And making a total Surveil deck. I've gotten a Thoughtbound Phantasm up to 2020 before. And if not, it's a great defender. It's a really good defender. And Surveil is such good value. I didn't even think about this because I hardly ever use it, but we could put Thoughtbound Phantasm and Spybug together, and we could just have a, I think my friend called it Bant. No, not Bant. Mardu? It's blue, black, green, and, Sultai. I'm so sorry. Let me remember my tribes real quick. Sultai. We could make a Sultai deck with, Demir. We don't even have to, because blue has, they gave Surveil, blue a lot of Surveil value in itself, but if we wanted to, we could even do blue, black, green, Surveil Ascendance. Sure, that sounds like a great deck that could stand on its own, honestly, because we just need to put this on the 2-drop slot, and I mean, most of it can be moved around in Demir. Demir's, when I was playing it, was not that hard to move around when you base it around Surveil. Here's my next thought. Hadana's Climb. At the beginning of your combat on your turn, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Then if the creature has 3 or more counters on it, transform. Keep putting creatures out. Do not let it transform. I know it's a legendary enchantment, but it is always putting a counter on a creature, and it's always putting a counter on Ascendance. And, you know, if you're building... Excuse me. Maybe that wouldn't work. Let me read the other side of Hadana's Climb real quick. I believe the other side would be better. Yeah. No. Never mind, guys. Don't pay attention to Hadana's Climb. But here's my last thought on it, and I just thought it was a fantastic... I just got finished playing Simic, and it was Simic Exploration. So here's Jadelight Ranger, who explores twice and has a potential of putting 2 +1/+1 counters on itself, and putting 2 +1/+1 counters on Simic Ascendance, and then being just a reasonable card by itself, because then you can decide to put the top card on in the graveyard, or in the if it's a land, you drew it. Of course, then you wouldn't get the +1/+1 counter, but it would also get you through your dead draws, which is what exploring is all about. You would only have a set amount of time to play this, though, because Ixalan is these cards are from Ixalan, and Ixalan's the first to cycle out, you know? Deep-Root Elite, going full merfolk on this, right? Just constantly putting counters out. We could put even Kamina. I don't think I took a picture of Kamina. No, I didn't. We could put Kamina on there, where it gives you tap 5 merfolk and all your merfolk get +1/+1 counters on it. That's 5 at least every single turn, so you could just make a wall of merfolk. Sure, why the frick not, dude? That would be awesome. These are my thoughts on this card. This card, I love alternate win conditions. I love alternate win conditions. I built a whole deck around a card called Laboratory Maniac, which basically says mill your whole deck, and then if you have no cards to draw, you win the game instead of lose the game. That was my intro into alternate win cons. And I love alternate win cons. My friend, when we were playing the commander deck, he pulled a Traxa. Traxa says proliferate. For every counter on a permanent that you control, put another counter of that type on there, or take one away. He he had a card on there that could have won him the game. If we wouldn't been able to take care of Simic Ascendancy, he could have won the game on turn 5. Of course, that's if we were actually playing with Simic Ascendancy. He already told me he was going to put this card in the deck no matter what. He's going to put this card in his 5-color Planeswalkers. He said he was going to put this in his Hydra. I think he's making a 4 or 3-color Hydra deck for Commander. He's going to be the new, what we call Amber of the game, because we don't like Ambers. Oh, man. He's going to make me put Mortify in my deck so fast. He's going to make me put cards like Reclamation Sage in my actual Commander deck, just so that way I have at least one card that has the potential of killing Simic Ascendancy in the one rotation it needs to win the game for him. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it for leaks now. I will be probably making more update videos closer to time, closer when we have more leaks. I want at least more than 3 cards leaked at a time, you know. Me and my buddy are, his name's Zach. I keep on saying me and my buddy. His name's Zach. Zach and I are ready for the leak season. Leak week. Let's go. Hashtag leak week. Anyways, guys, please like, subscribe, do all the usual YouTube stuff. Check out my other videos. Like I said in this video, I've played some really good decks recently, and I know they haven't been getting a lot of views. And I just think it's because it's out there decks like Simic Exploration. Nobody's really playing Simic Exploration, even though it went great. Abzan Soldiers. Everybody's so focused on Abzan Knights, they don't even know about Abzan Soldiers, which is crazy, because that deck was almost meta-breaking in my opinion, but whatever. So yeah, guys, thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, do all the usual YouTube stuff. And this is Sneaky Narcotic, signing off.